fairy souls, it is Nina, you're watching Fairy Chamber channel. Today I was thinking that I could talk to you about labyrinths and labyrinth as a symbol, and there's these very interesting structures that are shaped of labyrinth that you can find throughout Europe, and they're really interesting and fascinating and mysterious. So I think the first idea of labyrinth comes from ancient Greece and the story of Minotaurus. I hope that I'm pronouncing the English word right. So Minotaurus is a mythical creature, a hybrid between a man and a bull. The story of Minotaurus goes that the king Minos of Crete, he wanted to sacrifice a bull to honor the god Poseidon. So he made a pledge for Poseidon to send him a beautiful bull, and the Poseidon sent him a white Cretan bull. But Minos, he thought the bull was a beautiful creature, he did not want to kill it. He wanted to keep it for himself. So Poseidon got really mad from this, and he cursed the bull, and he cursed Minos' wife, Pasiphae, so that Pasiphae would fall in love with the bull, and this created this child, Minotaurus, half man, half bull. And Minos, he was outraged, and he captured this Minotaurus, and he hired a famous architecture, Daedalus, to create a labyrinth underneath his palace in Knossos, and there he hid the Minotaurus. And then the king Minos, he was not in good terms with the king of Athens, Elias, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, because the king of Athens had killed his son, Atreus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either. And Minos was mad, so it was penalty for the king of Athens to send Minos 7 maidens and 7 youths from Athens once each year, or once in each 7th year, or once in each 8th, 9th year. Many possibilities. This is a myth. So Minos got these sons and daughters of Athens, and each once in a year, or 7th or 9th year, he sent these youth and maidens to the labyrinth where Minotaurus would kill them. And then son of the Archias, the king of Athens, his name was Theseus, he volunteered himself to go to the labyrinth. And within the labyrinth, Cretan princess Ariadne, the daughter of Minos, she fell in love with Theseus, and she guided Theseus inside the labyrinth with a red thread. And inside the labyrinth, in the heart of the labyrinth, Theseus killed Minotaurus, and he saved the princess. And this is really a Greek tragedy. The whole story of Minotaurus is a one big Greek tragedy. And the king of Athens, Archias, he had told his son that when he is alive after task, he should pull a white flag to the ship, to the pole of the ship, and if he is not alive, they should pull a black flag there. And Theseus forgot this, so his father jumped to the ocean and killed himself, and he also abandoned Princess Ariadne to the island of Naxos, and he fled back to Athens, and he became the king. Well, I think that is a tragedy for everyone else except Theseus. So that is the mythology behind this labyrinth of the Minotaurus. And somehow this has captured people's minds for thousands and thousands of years. And I think Labyrinth is very interesting. You can find that in many books, like in Alice in Wonderland there is the labyrinth in the garden. And labyrinths in the gardens, they were really popular in the 17th century France, in Versailles. When I went to Versailles a few years ago, they don't have the labyrinth there anymore. I was quite disappointed. I heard that they haven't had that for years and years. I was quite disappointed. Those were like amusement labyrinths, that kind of garden labyrinths, where the king or the royal people, they could stay somewhere in a tower and watch how people got lost there, or give them directions. So it's like fun for the people in court to have this kind of labyrinths where you choke other people. So that was very popular in England and in France in 17th century. And I think in England you can still find that kind of labyrinths in some gardens, massive labyrinths. And then there is that kind of labyrinth in Alice in Wonderland with the Queen of Hearts. Then there is the creepy labyrinth in Harry Potter and Goblet of Fire, where the labyrinth is really meant to haunt the person and make the person lost. In a way it's about solving mystery, finding the answer. And when you get to the middle point, that's where you find it. So it's like a metaphor for enlightenment in some cases. Pretty much in every religion where they have labyrinths as symbols, that is the idea, the enlightenment in the middle. So that is one symbol of the labyrinth. And in Finland and in many parts of Europe you can find these stone formations that are like labyrinths. You can find them from Finland, you can find them from Sweden, Norway, Iceland, northern Russia, southern coast Estonia, and Britain and France and Germany. They look like this. This is from Finland. In Finnish we call these as jatulintarha, which is jatuli is a old Finnish word for a giant, and people believed that before the Sami people arrived to Lapland and northern Europe, it was populated by giants. However, there isn't any historical or archaeological evidence of this, that the early people were somehow massively bigger than Sami people, so it's just believed to be folklore, but that's where they got their names. People believed that Jatuli was the person that built these stone circles, and that they had some kind of rituals there, and Jatulis, people thought they were witches and shamans and very evil creatures, or very aggressive enemies. But I think this is something that has mixed up within the past with different religious views and such. I think it probably started as a fear for another tribes, because in the past there has been many different tribes living in northern Europe and within Lapland. Different Sami tribes, for example, meeting with Vikings, and before that with different Sami tribes within different areas. So it's probably something that has started from that kind of meeting with other people that were more strange to others. But even among Vikings there are stories where Sami people were described as giants, so I don't really know what is true and from Estonian people, the early Estonian tribes. There are stories how they describe Finnish to be giants, so I don't know where it really comes from. But when it comes to these stone circles, that is something I am really fascinated about, these Jatulintarha. I think it's actually about Mystery Place. The Swedish name for them is Jungfru dance, the Virgin dance, or Dance of the Maidens. So it's possible that they were used for fertility rites, like in Outlander, in that stone circle. But these stone circles, they are a bit different than like Stonehenge or that kind of massive circles. This is more smaller, and it has a spiral usually. It's not necessarily a labyrinth because there isn't any dead ends in these Jatulintarhas. They are just circles, stone circles, and they are spirals quite often. And it's really fascinating, and the stones, they are like stepping stones, you can step on them. We don't really know what they stand for, and we have about 20 of them in Finland, and usually majority of them I think are in northern Finland, which is quite interesting. There are some in South Finland as well, but about 20 of them have been found, and it's really hard to say which time period they come from. Many people think that they come from prehistorical times, and maybe even from the times of the earliest populations in Finland. It's really fascinating. I personally think that they are related to fertility rites, or even more earlier than that, to different shamanistic rites, and possibly some kind of rituals that are related to enlightenment or initiation. I think that has connection to the whole story of Minotaurus as well. And a few years ago, I was on a field trip with some of my witchy friends, and we went to this kind of Jatulintarha and had a ritual there, and it was quite interesting. But I remember the place was really beautiful because it's very near the sea. The stone formation, it was very close to the sea. It was built on like a beach, but not really straight on the beach, but to the forest, that where you could see the sea, or you could hear the sea. And there it was in this kind of not really on a hill, but on a like a bit higher ground. And then it had the stone spiral. It has the stones, they were about as big as my head, you could say that, and they were like flat stones, some were bigger than others, and that created this spiral. Some of the stones were quite, I don't know, I think maybe some of them had been moved, or I don't know. There has been done like archaeological research there, and it's really fascinating and all that. And some of the stones, they had like burning marks, like or oil marks, like someone had burned incense there or something. I don't know if it's a newer thing, or maybe it was done in shamanistic rituals a couple thousand years ago, I don't know. Still very fascinating. And I remember when I went to the middle of this spiral and I looked up, there was this tall pine trees and spruce trees there, and the tops of the trees, they created a star pattern or a cross pattern. And when you were right in the middle of the spiral, I could feel this kind of loop there, straight to the skies. It would be a great place to be sucked by a UFO, but I believe more in the shamanism than UFOs, but in theory. But I think it had that kind of, initiation ritual meaning more than anything. And it was very empowering experience to stand there and feel that kind of energy going. Yeah, it's really, really fascinating. Then I've also heard some like explanations from different researchers what is the meaning of these stone circles when you can find them all over the world. Well, all over the Europe, I don't know about the rest of the world, but at least in Northern Europe you can find so many of them, and they tend to be spirals. There isn't no dead ends. But then again, people haven't even found the original labyrinth of Minotaurus. There have been done lots of diggings in Knossos and Minos Palace, but there isn't evidence of the labyrinth. It is very labyrinthic, the palace, but there isn't evidence of the exact labyrinth, or maybe the way we now imagine labyrinth to look like might have been a bit different for the ancient Greeks. I don't know. But I still find it very, very fascinating. Maybe labyrinth of Minotaurus was originally more similar to the labyrinths that we have in northern Finland and in Northern Europe, I don't know. Still, it's very interesting. And I do think that they are very connected to initiation and shamanism and magic. Like when I was standing there, I didn't have hard time to imagine some kind of shaman doing a ritual there and people dancing in that circle, going in a certain a dance routine following some specific rhythm. And in many other countries like in Iceland and in Sweden, these stone formations are connected to riding and they are seen as castle formations, which might be also true, I don't know. So maybe they've been used for war games or something. So there is definitely some kind of connection to mystery plays and some kind of magical purpose they had. So, have you ever been to this kind of stone formation? And what were your experiences? And what do you think about these Jatulintarhas? So, Jatulintarha, if you translate that, it literally means Jatulis garden or Jatulis circle. But I don't think they were made by giants, but they were made by some very, very early men, long time ago. So, thank you for watching, guys. I will see you next time. Bye!